Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Flash Season 6 Episode 3 video. There were a whole bunch of Crisis on Infinite Earths Easter eggs. They even snuck in some Shazam Black Adam Easter eggs, so we'll break it all down.
One of these.
Yeah.
Lean forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Come back. If you're some man! And then right here is where you gotta do a little tongue thing.
There's a new round of the DC giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from the episode on the video. We'll do top 10 WTF and Easter eggs like normal, just careful for spoilers if you have not seen the episode yet before we get into it. Starting with number 10, a Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover moment. So they're actually filming the crossover episodes right now. Stephen Amell himself just had his very last scene with Grant Gustin ever. It was an incredibly memorable moment, but he posted this video of himself falling asleep and snoring in the middle of the scene when they were getting ready to film between takes. He just joked that all these years working together, it was bound to happen eventually. It might as well happen in their very last scene ever. They will drop the trailer for the crossover sometime either at the end of October, beginning of November, but we'll probably see some promo footage and smaller bits of scenes leak out before that. Number 9, they open the actual episode with the black market weapons crew getting hijacked by their old boss, controlled by Bloodwork without really realizing that he's controlling the golem. Don't they know they're in a horror story? You don't break the rules of the horror genre by talking about the dead member of your crew like he's never ever going to come back. Takes him a little while in the episode to actually explain what's really going on, but we're really meant to get this from Ramsey Rosa's perspective because he still doesn't totally understand how his powers work, but he is comic book Bloodwork. Number 8, Flash tells Team Flash about Crisis on Infinite Earths, leaving out some key pieces of information. He even tells them about the Monitor, but not everything that the Monitor said. Elongated Man refers to him as a Guardian cosplayer, and everybody starts to freak out a little bit about the date. They spend most of their time focusing on Killer Frost's arc because this is meant to be her season of being Killer Frost more than Caitlin. She doesn't want to die before she has a birthday, which they pay off at the end of the episode before she eats all 31 flavors of Baskin-Robbins. Cue Baskin-Robbins joke. It's just the beginning of Barry checking off this bucket list of preparing Team Flash, all the different members, for a world without the Flash. Everyone on Team Flash is trying to prepare for what the Anti-Monitor is. They don't know who he is yet. They just know about the antimatter wave that's going to erase everything. But even by the end of the episode, even though Barry's already made his peace with everything, he's just getting ready to tell them that he has to die, to give them that Doctor Strange speech. Billions of potential futures, only one where we all survive, and it's the one where I have to die. 7, we meet Ralph's mom. She was kind of ridiculous during the episode, but it's all set up, if you couldn't tell, for the Sue Dibney arc. They're introducing that character, but that's going to go into the back half of the season. They have a whole lot of funny moments. There's a whole bunch of comic book references. Marv Perez, the person that his mother is dating, is a reference to Marv Wolfman and George Perez, the two people who wrote and drew Crisis on Infinite Earths in the comics. All the other names of her former boyfriends that he rattles off are also the names of seminal comic book creators. There's Doug Mahnke, Craig Young, and Nicholas Vicardi. The most important part of all their scenes together was that last moment where she's like, go out there, you go out and find some love. That's sort of meant to tee up the Sue Dibney arc because she's sort of this missing persons case that he's slowly tracking down, but it's going to take a long time for that story to percolate, and we might not actually meet that character till the back half of the season. Number 6, Killer Frost totally knows what's up, doesn't need to go through all the CSI work to know that Bloodwork is behind all this. Even though she isn't really looking at the evidence, she's thinking more about her memories of Bloodwork because she has Caitlin's memories. She also has all the knowledge that Caitlin has, so she's just as good of a biologist and a forensic scientist as Caitlin was. She just has zero time for bullshit, and it takes Barry the rest of the episode to sort of come around to her conclusion. Yes, this guy is totally bad, he was totally trying to steal dark matter from us. The way they leave things at the end of the episode, too, is sort of a frenemies situation where he rejects Barry's attempts at friendship. Come to me if you ever want to talk. No, thanks. I'm good. See you later. But I think the reason why they're pushing him on this villain arc so fast is because he's only going to be around till right before the crossover for like the first 8 episodes or so. Normally, you would have a villain around for the entire season, and they would wait a couple more episodes before they go full-blown villain. One of the coolest moments from all their scenes together, though, was number 5, the Blue Beetle name drop. So he talks about Ted Cord. I got the dark matter from Cord Industries and Ted Cord. So clearly Blue Beetle is still alive and around on Earth 1, very interested in experimenting with dark matter technology for some reason. Maybe we'll get more answers about that later this season. But if you watched Arrow for a number of seasons, you realize that they actually been referencing Cord Industries going back to Arrow Season 1. And originally, when Brandon Routh joined the Arrowverse, he was originally supposed to be Ted Cord during Arrow Season 3. Warner Brothers put the kibosh on that because they were developing a Blue Beetle Booster Gold movie that kind of wound up in development hell. That's why they ended up turning Brandon Routh into Ray Palmer. So just put a pin in the fact that Ted Kord has been doing a lot of stuff with dark matter technology. They also reference McCullough Tech for the Nash Wells storyline. McCullough is the second version of Mirror Master. They used him a lot during Season 5, McCullough Tech, so we'll see if we see the actual second version of Mirror Master on the show eventually. Number 4, explaining Nash Wells. He's the new version of Indiana Jones, Harrison Wells, which most of you probably picked up on before Cisco literally said the words Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. He's meant to be more of a no-nonsense version of Harrison Wells, like he calls the Council of Wells a bunch of jackasses. The more important thing, though, is the Black Adam Shazam Easter egg that he drops when he references Eternium. So if you're not familiar with that, I know it kind of gave off He-Man and the Masters of the Universe vibes. Are they talking about He-Man? Is that what's going on? No, Eternium is actually a DC Comics element. What it is, though, is it's actually just shards of the Rock of Eternity. It was used during a Legion of Superheroes storyline post-Zero Hour. If you don't remember Zero Hour, it was the thing that came after Hal Jordan turned into Parallax and threatened the entire multiverse. It was kind of a follow-up story to Crisis on Infinite Earths before they did Infinite Crisis. During a Legion of Superheroes storyline, you learn that the Legion is trying to assemble all the pieces of Eternium to reform the Rock of Eternity, so we'll see what they end up using it for on the TV show, but that just means that there is a version of Shazam in the Rock of Eternity that existed at one point during Earth 1's history. Whether or not it's still around remains to be seen. I feel like with the success of the Shazam franchise and the films and the Black Adam movie coming up, it was only a matter of time before they started referencing those characters in the Arrowverse. The Rock was actually just tweeting about the Black Adam movie, saying that production will be starting next July. He's more booked up than any other movie person, but he said it was a 10-year journey. So if you've been wondering how long he's been working on this Black Adam Shazam stuff, it's been for the last decade. But when he was first signed up, he was actually initially cast to play the Shazam character. Then during the development process, decided he liked Black Adam better because of his origin as a slave and how he rose to power. We'll talk about more Black Adam stuff as they start to ramp up and announce more of the cast and find out more about the story of that movie. Number 3, they defeat the Bloodwork Golem using the negative Flash trick from the comics. So if you're not a big Flash Rebirth comic book reader, Bloodwork is analyzing the dark matter samples, but learns that he can control the golem. He hasn't completely figured it out yet, but he just knows that he has some level of control over it. Killer Frost comes up with the idea to defeat it by overloading it with dark matter, and that's what the negative Flash did to defeat comic book Bloodwork. But because they use this twist on the golem and not the actual Bloodwork, that means that when Barry eventually has to take down Ramsey Rosa, either in episode 8 or before the mid-season finale at some point, they'll have to use some different twist. They won't recycle this same twist from the comics. The other important thing to note is that the more dark matter he absorbs, the more powerful he gets, and it's probably similar for Bloodwork, like he absorbs all that material back into himself at the end of the episode, making him stronger. It'll probably continue to be like that episode to episode, and the pipeline prison was not strong enough to hold the golem in, meaning that it'll be a lot harder for the Flash to take down a supercharged version of Bloodwork before the mid-season finale. Number 2 is Bloodwork figuring out how his powers work by reabsorbing the material back into himself. The way they're explaining it is that his ability, combined with the blood of the other person, combined with dark matter, is what created the special new material that he's taking back into himself. They're going to double down on that in next week's episode, so we'll get to see him go a little bit crazier. But number 1 was Nash Wells finding the shards of the Rock of Eternity in the post-credits scene. So the whole idea is what is he actually going to do with the Eternium? This scene kind of gave me a Ghostbusters 2 vibe too, like the special material they're looking for is somehow flowing through the sewer system. The only other big thing the showrunner said about his character is that his storyline is directly tied in with how they set up Crisis on Infinite Earths, and obviously referencing Eternium, shards of the Rock of Eternity, seems like a pretty big deal, so that is Crisis level. But if you spotted any other big Easter eggs in the episode that I didn't mention in the video, just let me know in the comments. I will do more Crisis on Infinite Earth stuff in my trailer video when I post that tomorrow for episode 4. I know you got all kinds of questions about what's going on with Tom Welling's Superman, with all the Batman stuff that they're doing during the crossover. It is going to be crazy, so everybody click here for my last big Crisis on Infinite Earths Batman Flash teaser, and click here for my brand new Star Wars Episode 9 trailer Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.